Yeah, so Karen Moskowitz wanted to be here but is not able to. She has a couple announcements. Everybody should know that there is a deadline for board nominations August 25th. Yeah, I guess I don't have any. Does anybody have anything more to say about that right now? Okay. October 24th is the general meeting. Are we, what is the state of governance tools in advance of that? Does anybody have anything to say about that?
Okay, I would like to ask a question as regarding the board nominations. Like, what is the requirement to be on the board?
So I believe that the process is that a person fills out a declaration form. The declaration form has been posted in Board to Co-op, and it's self-nominating. And as far as I understand, there are no formal requirements, but there is a nominating committee that will review all of the submissions for being on the ballot. And I believe that the nominating committee has some latitude in how nominations are selected. So I've given you, David, a very partial answer, and there's more information, or somebody else can give a more thorough answer. For instance, if you're interested,
okay,
more thorough answer, you could report next week.
Okay, I think you were answering more of the process. What I wanted to know was like, what is the qualification? I think that's a better word to use.
I don't think there's a formal qualification. I don't think there's a formally defined set of qualifications.
So once you're a member, you could actually vie for the position of board member.
I believe that's the case.
Okay.
If you look at the questions on the form, okay, about your relevant experience and background, you'll get an idea of what kind of qualifications they're looking for.
Okay, does anybody else have anything to say about this particular issue? Okay, I'm going to go on to the next item. Actually, let's put the Asian meeting at the end. Who's scribing this meeting? Trench Float. Do you have the link to the Asian debrief folder and this particular week's minutes? I think that Justin was there.
I can go look for it.
Or maybe you should scribe and somebody else should look for it. Who can somebody find that and paste the link? Is Frank here? Frank posted an interesting issue about rock price. Frank? Can somebody DM Frank and see if he wants to talk about it?
Andrew, can you communicate with, I think you mean Philip Andre, right?
Yes.
Okay, maybe.
I think in this issue, there was reference to various other people, including Andrew. Andrew, you want to speak to that? I'm talking about issue 904, I believe. David, you can screen share issue 904, maybe.
Okay.
Hello, Alan.
Andrew, your voice is very broken up. Is there?
Hello, can you hear me now?
A little better, yes.
So this is it. I think there've always been a good engagement on the issue. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's been a good engagement on the issue already. Well, after this issue, I chatted personally with Philip Andri, and I think his major concern is the falling, is the rate at which rocks are currently falling. So he was like, supposing an issue was worth $500, as at the time of payment, that issue may be paid about $200 or $100, and that is a concern. So I think that is the major concern Philip Andri is trying to raise. So Donald, you want to say something?
Yeah, the opposite also is true. I mean, the price could go higher, and that's bad for the cooperative.
Yeah, that's what I said in one of my comments was if it were going the opposite direction, there wouldn't be an issue. So I mean, that's part of the risk reward of being paid in rock. I mean, you can't really take one without the other. I mean, go ahead.
I had a recommendation on this issue.
Sure.
Which is that they could pay us with the current value, the last hour that they do the payment.
Instead of doing a market 30?
Yeah, so that way
that's my understanding of it. From a document I saw somewhere, you're supposed to be paid like you're reimbursed the day before, the price of the day before you're paid. Like if you're going to be paid tomorrow, the closing price of today would be what they would use. But I don't know, like for the last month, they didn't use it. Last 2 months, they actually did the same thing, but a complaint came up and they topped it up. But I don't know why that policy seems to have changed. Maybe I'll look for the document somewhere, but it was supposed to be a day before the actual payment, the price a day before the actual payment.
Okay, Alan, I think you heard what Ojimadu said. So can you confirm if that is the case here?
Okay, Ojimadu, I did not understand all of the words that you said. Could you say them again, or can somebody paraphrase what Ojimadu said?
So what he had said was that instead of doing a market 30 average, it's getting paid based on the closing price of the day before payments are made, which I didn't think we ever did. It's always been, to my knowledge, a market 30 average. It's never been a day before close-ish.
Ojimadu, is that what you have asked? Is that your question? Why can't we set the price to the price at the time of payment?
My understanding is that there's this document. I don't know. I'll look for it. I'll look for the file. It uses the average price. Quite all right.
Yes, it does.
Yes,
So
it
I can
the average price. But the average price should be like the average price of the day before you get paid, something like that, not at the end of the month or something like.
So average price during the month or average price at the end of the month, the way that it's done, the formula that we're using is a typical formula that's used in this kind of payment, not necessarily in crypto, but certainly with respect to stock options and that kind of thing.
There's something
that's the history of it.
Chat. Hello? Kid Blake posted something in the chat. I think that's exactly what I'm trying to say there. That's
Okay,
exactly
Kit,
what
do you
it is.
have the current formula? There was some questions about it in June, I believe, and Kenny provided a link to the actual formula.
Yeah, actually, I posted it in the chat, and I posted the board resolution, which goes back to January. And if we want to change this, there has to be another board resolution. And personally, I'm not in favor of changing it. I think it's a good discussion to have. So I'm not trying to kill the topic or anything. I'm just stating my position.
So, Kit, if I could read between the lines, let me say what Aaron said, which is that when the price is going down, this may be unfavorable to people. When the price is going up, it could be very favorable. And I think that I've heard from Kit and from Aaron that they like the system the way it is, because in a market that's going up, it's favorable to people being rewarded.
Yeah, at this point, everything is going down. The rock is too, and if you're making money in cryptocurrency, that's the risk you take. At some point, it should turn, and then it'll go up, and then everybody will be very positive about it, I think.
Donald, do you want to say something?
I have two comments. One is that, does anyone remember what happened in January? Because in January, the pay price was 20 cents, 20 USD cents, but the current market price was $2. So whoever did work on January was getting paid at 10x of the actual budget. So now the opposite is happening, of course.
So Donald, Frank just joined, and could you just summarize the discussion to date so that Frank knows what's been said, and what you just said is kind of a summary.
Okay, so what we're talking about is that in January, the 30-day average was the 30-day average of December, which was 20 cents in USD, but the current market price of the rock was almost 2 USD. So it was a 10x price. And for example, if you had a budget of 500 USD, you would be paid 5,000 USD. Now the opposite is going on, because we are in a downtrend market. So there is a difference. I don't know if we can solve this or if we can do something about that.
Frank, do you have something you'd like to say about this?
Alan, I would like to comment. I would like to comment on something.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
David, go ahead.
I wasn't saying it.
Can you hear me?
Yes, David, go ahead.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. This is Andrew.
Can we get a mute on that one mic?
Thank you. Also, Kyle, I just edited the meeting minutes. I'm not speaking in favor of one way or another. I'm trying to explain what the differences are.
Okay, sorry, I misunderstood.
Andrew, is that you?
Yeah, that's
Frank.
me, Andrew. That's me. Yeah, hi. How's everyone?
Good. Andrew, do you want to speak to this issue? Sorry, we lost Andrew. Frank, do you want to speak to this issue?
I just
Yeah.
just joined the meeting and I don't know what's it. Hello?
Yes. So let me give a quick summary. The method of calculating on an average monthly price is fairly standard in some industries. And when the price is going down, as it is now, it's unfavorable to you. And when the price is going up, it's favorable. So
Okay.
some people have expressed satisfaction because they were here in January or whatever when the price was going up very sharply. You know, it kind of.
Okay. Okay. Can I speak now?
Yeah. Yes. Please speak.
Okay. You know, I did an issue. I raised an issue on GitHub talking about it. You know, because I'm looking at the fact that if I'm doing a job for you, and then we're talking about the pricing, and then you pay me, you should pay me for the price we talked about. So we're looking at rocks.
So Andrew, I just want to address that specifically. The agreement is what it is. The payments have been made according to the agreement that's made with you. If you read it, you'll see that there's a 30-day average, et cetera, et cetera. That's the way the agreement reads. Kit pointed out that if we want to change the agreement, we can have a proposal to do that. But the agreement that we have is a normal agreement, and by providing your contribution to the bounty reward system, you're agreeing to that.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, when things change, when things begin to change, we need to do a little adjustment. You know, we can't keep doing the old things and expect a different result. And that's why we are progressive. I mean, we are progressive. If things doesn't go in our favor for a very long time, it's expected that we do something about it and we can change it. I mean, we can work towards it and make it better for us. What I'm saying is, I'm not saying that there's a problem, but the problem is the rocks keep going down, and it may happen that in the next few months we get paid and then we don't even get anything because the value can go to zero, and it means that we just work for it. I'm not really saying about the work, I'm talking about, but there's a way we can start to put a real measure. I don't know, but I think there are measures we can put in to just help see how we can.
Okay. David, you want to speak?
Yes, I want to say something else regarding that. Now, I don't know, just excuse me for a minute. Now, one of the things we have to consider regarding the falling rock price is, okay, if you're not speaking, kindly mute your speaker, please.
Awesome.
Okay, thank you. All right, so like I was saying, one of the things we have to consider regarding this is that rocks will be switched to Rev very soon, and so rather than deliberating rocks, I think we should begin to now talk about how or what the value of Rev is going to be, because I think that switch should be done next month or early September or
December.
Okay, December. Okay, so
at the launch of Mercury.
Okay, mainnet, right? Okay, yeah. So, aside the deliberation for rocks, we should begin to consider what Rev would be, because this might actually be a good time to store up enough rocks to save if the value of Rev is going to be fantastic. So, it might not be as bad as it's looking, because it might actually be a good way to put rocks aside that could be switched to Rev. So Donald, you wanted to say something? Okay, would you mind again?
Yeah, so I agree with all the points you guys made, and I have one more small addition, which is let's assume, for example, that the rocks keep going down, right? and someone is doing development work, or someone is doing some work that has to do with reoccurring payments, for example, hosting a server, all right? That is very bad. It's very big risk for a person to take, because if he's going to get paid in a fluctuating currency, he can't actually. Maybe at one point at the future, in the future, he maybe not be able to pay for the hosting, for example, and
Okay.
that's very.
So
Yeah.
Donald, I don't mean to interrupt you, and I wanted to devote 6 more minutes. I want to close this part of the discussion at 10:30 because we have other stuff. But I would like to consider the possibility that, which is done in real markets, that people may come in and agree, make a side agreement, a contract, where I will buy your rock at some particular fixed price, and whatever the price is when they're paid, that's what you'll pay me back. So that's how these kinds of issues are dealt with in markets. So, you know, if somebody wants to make an agreement like that, they can do that. And I agree with the analysis that rock is going down now. That only means that it will go a lot higher in the future. But that's my own personal view.
That's just a speculation.
That's my speculation.
Yeah, and I think, you know, a lot of people, most of the people here believe that RChain will succeed and it will go up. In the meantime, some people can be hurt. In our work study yesterday, we discussed an alternative mechanism, which I would actually have no preference for, because I have faith in the long-term value of the rock. But it was revision to the whole system, in that we would finalize budgets on the 9th. The 10th, we would correct any errors and review it. And then on the 11th, we would pay everyone with the spot price from the 10th, and we would eliminate the invoice process, and that would, of course, have to be a proposal to the board. But it was
so, Jim, I can speak to 2 aspects of that. Number one, streamlining the invoice process is something that I'm working on with Ivan and Margot. So that's something that we can do in terms of streamlining. Eliminating the invoice process is not something that we can do. It's a legal requirement. The declaration is actually a legal document that says that you agree to the terms of this, and that gets recorded. And if the cooperative is required to produce records and so on, those are the records that are produced. In terms of spot prices, I think that's also a very unusual method, and I don't think that somebody with a finance background, maybe Owens can speak to this, but people with a finance background would find the process that we use now to be normal and standard practice. Now, we could change the period to from the average over the last month to the average over 10 days or whatever. I mean, those could be done, but having an average market price over some period is a normal way that this kind of thing is valued for accounting and legal purposes.
Yeah.
Okay, could I say something, please?
Yes.
Okay, I think an invoice is a prerequisite. Is a requirement for anything in any organization. An invoice is very important. You can't do without an invoice in any organization. just a proof to show that the person that you have an agreement with the person has an agreement with you. So I think it's not something that ought to be debated on. Although if the process can be a little smoother, it will help in streamlining things. Thank you.
Hello. I think the main problem from this thing is that the resolution of the board is not being followed to the letter, because from the resolution, it says that cooperatives shall be calculated, the price shall be calculated using a 30-day weighted average, calculated on the day prior to payment. You see the thing, now they use the payment like on the 30th, they use the price on 30th. Okay, usually you get paid like middle of the month. By the time it gets to that middle of the month, the average price has changed. I remember this started like 2 months ago, and that was when people started having problems with it. Usually the average price over the last 30 days is what is used. Like if they'll pay you tomorrow, the average price up is what you get paid. But like for the past 2 months, it has been the closing price at the end of the month instead of the average price for the days.
Ojimadu, that is can we take an action item that Ojimadu and I will look into that and make sure that the payment process is following the board resolution? And
fine.
If there are any other things, let's make them as to-do items and highlight them in bold, and let's move on. Unless, I'm sorry, I don't want to end this discussion prematurely. If we haven't addressed anything, we should address it.
Alan?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead, Andrew.
Just like what Saba said, and I would really appreciate it if you could work with immediately after the event, one day after the preview, and check for mistakes and all that, then we know we are going to get paid on a fixed date. I think that would be better, so we could work on it, and our calculations will always be right if we have a fixed date of payments. Like we know that on the 11th, for example, we are going to get paid. I think it's will be a good one.
Okay. I would like to answer that or address that. We should leave that as an agenda item, as a discussion. But I would like to say that I don't think, as a practical matter, that is able to happen, because within the cooperative and within the cooperative, we're not well organized, well established enough to have all of to be able to do that. We need a longer time to review and so on. And also, invoices are not. Yeah. Okay. So let's take that as a suggestion, and I can address it in the issue.
Alan, did you take the ball, or did you give the ball to Ojimadu for the board?
Ojimadu and I.
Okay.
And then, who is it that made the suggestion of a fixed date for payment? Can we also put a note that
Andrew,
Andrew, if you made the suggestion, Trenchfloat, can you say that Andrew and I will investigate and put a comment in the issue that's been posted?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I was thinking, I don't know how correct it is, but I was thinking that if we could, because of the present state, maybe especially because of the trust rating, sometimes you make an issue, and the trust metric says that the value for your budget is too high. I think maybe they should also need to consider some of this fact that is playing out. Like You know that.
Okay, Andrew, it's 10:35. We've taken up a lot of time on this particular issue. Can you and I follow up and we'll comment? We'll post a joint comment into this issue. Okay, does that work for you, Andrew?
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah,
No problem.
Okay, and similarly, if we haven't addressed anybody's questions, please DM me or Jim or whoever, and we can address them as we have time. I'd like to move to the next issue. I hope that we've addressed all the bounty payment issues.
Can you
Please mute your microphone when you're not speaking. Thank you. As far as bounty payments for July, I've received probably half of them. You are eligible to post your declaration immediately on close of voting on the 8th or on the 9th. Please post your invoices promptly. There are also stale invoices that have been issued before. Please submit those, and there will be an email, but you don't need to wait for the email to post your invoices. There's half the invoices for July are still not received. Half the declarations are not received yet. Okay, Jim, do you want to begin speaking about the validator pools?
Sure. Greg has announced on several occasions that the co-op will be running validator nodes. Now, some of us would like to contribute rock to validator pools, and some of us would like to contribute equipment to validator pools without actually creating a separate organization and running a commercial type validator pool. Such pools might be financed in part by the co-op, and rewards would go back to those people who staked, operated the pool, as well as benefit being returned to the co-op as a whole as well. Actually, the idea was sparked by some people who may be running validators themselves, Karen and a couple others. Nobody has stepped up to the plate, in terms of organizing the validator pools and the processes that would be used, kind of managing or overseeing the validator pools and getting them in line with the co-op requirements for validators, and overseeing the management of the systems for the security and other things that are necessary.
Okay, Jim, I thought you were handling the management of the validator pools.
Are you talking about the cooperative, the stuff we're running cooperatively?
No, I think he's talking about the community pool that you just mentioned, that you're suggesting.
I felt you had the responsibility of managing and organizing the community pools.
I have approached a couple of people, colleagues, to get involved, but I certainly would not take this on without greater community involvement. And we also need to get blessing from the co-op. So, I mean, there's a lot of company politics involved and other things that I'm not well suited for.
Jim, I'm not sure
Okay,
what the politics you are referring to are, but if there were a clear statement of what you wanted, of what the community wanted to do and why, I think that those could be navigated. To me, the issues are that it's a very risky business, and I've heard people speaking about this, and they don't know what's been posted in the Validator Focus Group channel. They don't understand the risks. They don't know how to run it on AWS. They don't know what the risks are of running it on rented hardware, and so forth and so on. So before we present it to anybody, I think it should be well understood. I can understand that you might not want to do this personally and that you're looking for other people who are interested. If anybody's interested, they should stand up and join now.
Okay, I think joining is not the issue. I think that the issue is the goal and the organization has to be communicated properly, because a lot of persons have indicated interest, but I don't think they really understand what it is they're getting into.
Thank you, David. That's exactly what I was trying to say.
Oh, okay.
Hey, I'd like to pipe up. I've been in the Discord this morning, kind of trying to see what's going on. I had no idea this meeting was even going on. So I guess that would be my question is, where is this coming out in terms of transparency, and how would those that want to get involved know about it? Or what did I miss, I guess, is what I should say.
There's an agenda and meeting notes. If you're not familiar with them, somebody should post them. And this meeting happens once a week, and you're certainly welcome to it. It's on the RChain calendar, and it's at the top of the meeting notes for this week.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry, can I just say this quickly? Donald, if you have anything to say, you don't have to raise your hands up, you just talk. All right?
Well, I don't want to interrupt anyone. What I would like to say is, do we have estimation of the distribution and the decentralization of those nodes?
No, we don't. I do see that a good number of people have signed up for the issue.
Okay.
And so I will try to arrange a meeting of the folks and see what skills they bring to the table in terms of running this thing. But the value proposition is something we're dealing with as a cooperative, and I see the economics of it as something that the co-op needs to express, to us. I think that it's very variable at this time in terms of rewards. And by members running nodes, I think we'll have impact into that system of how the rewards are ultimately distributed.
Okay, Jim, I'm going to take this as a good segue into the next issue. I'm cutting this a little bit short because it's 10:43. I'd like to go into the governance of trust metric voting, and I'd like to suggest that what you're asking for right now is a comment by some label guides as to whether this particular community tool is a good idea and what the risks might be. Please mute your microphone when you're not. Jim, does that sound reasonable? that some of the guides, some of the people that have been here a long time should comment in the issue and discuss what the requirements might be. Jim?
Yes, I think that is a good idea. It's issue 902. I'll assign myself.
Okay, so on 902, it's a new issue. I haven't seen anybody comment in it yet. Is everybody familiar with it?
No, I haven't seen that.
No, it's
So-
a new issue.
Yeah, I talked about three things. The label guides commenting within a 5-day period to give some guidance on how they're likely to vote. And more extensive comments are good because then other people can also know what the opinions are. There's the issue of negative votes. Then there's the issue of voting for observers. People have weight 0. And then there's the meta issue of what is our process to decide what the trust metric voting policies should be.
Okay. I think that is a whole subject on its own, and I don't know when the next label guiding meeting is, but I think it should be discussed then.
Okay.
Or there should be a label guiding meeting for it then.
Kyle, you want to note that suggestion?
Sure. Or will you take the ball to try to get interest and details for a meeting?
I think that, David, do you want to take that ball and put it into a label guide meeting?
Yes, but when is the next label guiding meeting? I don't think there's a date fixed
I
yet.
think we don't have a formal meeting. We have a Discord channel at the moment.
We were suggesting you try to plan one.
Not so many persons are active on the Discord channel.
Trench, what were you saying?
Okay, that would
David,
work.
we were suggesting that you try to get a meeting planned for the label guides.
Okay, that can work.
Okay.
I guess if you notify everyone or all, whatever it is in the label guide server, that should get most people involved, and you can follow up with something in the bounties channel.
Okay.
But if in the label guide server we can come up with a good date and time. I would like to make it a regular meeting. We don't need it once a week. We should have it once a month.
Maybe twice a month might be good.
Yeah.
Okay, David, you've got the ball on that. Okay, so it's my impression from this discussion so far that people haven't had a chance to read issue 902. Please read it and make comments in the issue so that we can get these things, our own internal governance, resolved.
Let me just ask, what was the follow-up action we were going to do for the community validators pool?
Please turn off your microphone if you're not speaking. Thank you. The follow-up item on the validator pool is that we need a clear statement of what the community pool might be and why why it's worth Yeah, just a complete statement, I think, would be better. Apparently, people don't understand it completely.
Hello.
What the benefits and risks might be, and also how much focus it might divert from other issues.
Hello. I think I'm more concerned about the technical aspect of pooling. In that issue, I'm trying to understand if, like, like we as community members can pool our revs or rock together to validate. If that's the case, I'd like to see, I'd like to know how that would work out, because so far I've not seen any contract or any way to pool resources for staking on RChain, unlike some other blockchains where they have this kind of functionalities built in. But so far I've not seen it like pulling these resources together in a way that it's safe. I still control my funds, and I don't have to rely on you. I don't have to send my funds over to you to help me validate something like that.
So Jim, I gave you the ball on that one for making that statement.
Ojimadu, I did not completely understand what you said. Could you just post in the meeting minutes what exactly you were suggesting?
Okay. It's in the theme.
Something about the technical aspects of actually doing this.
Okay. Let me give you an example. Like if you're validating if you're securing the nodes for Tezos, for example, you delegate your validation or your stake to somebody through a smart contract. It's built into the protocol. But in RChain, I've not seen such protocol. So I'm interested how we are going to do or work around that in the case that I don't have to send you my revs for you to control. You have to be in control of my revs before you're able to validate on my behalf. Things like that. I don't know if you get it.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand the question either. I mean, as I understand it, we'll be able to select, or become part of shards, potentially related to the location of where we're running the nodes and the RChain cooperative internal activities itself. Would be a namespace anyway, and part of a shard, whatever. But the last I heard, we could, become a validator in any shard we wanted to.
I think I'll post a better write-up on the issue itself.
Thank you, because I don't know. I'm going by hearsay.
Okay, I just want to be clear. Jim, I gave you the ball for creating the statement that Alan was talking about, the clear statement of risks.
And I guess at this point, maybe you could subassign Ojimadu to make sure that the technical questions he's asking are answered.
Right, and I mean, I'm going to just pretty much raise the issues here, and hopefully these people that have joined the issue will engage and help answer some of these questions.
Okay, I'm happy.
Okay, we've got about 5 minutes left. I wanted us to mention yesterday's meetup in Berlin. It's awesome. The YouTube and slides have not been posted, but I think Aaron is going to follow up by putting them into the meetup repository that has a lot of materials. Aaron, is that a fair statement?
Sorry, I'm looking at something else. What did you say?
There are YouTubes and slides that they will post from the meetup in Berlin. You've begun the meetup server, and I'm just alleging that you will likely post those when they're available.
Yes, so I reached out to Timotheus, who said he would get those over to me, and I would post and update links on that meetup server in the appropriate channels. So those will be available to everyone as soon as he gets those over to me.
Okay. The somebody posted a meetup about Singapore. Just that's our last item, and we'll. Okay. Does Kit? Do you want to address the meetup in Singapore?
Sure. I don't have much to say. It was organized by somebody who's been long active in RChain. His name is Mervyn, and he lives in Singapore, and he's also synced up with Jonathan, or Otter Magically, as he's called on Discord, who is also in Singapore right now, and both of them gave presentations at the meetup. And I don't know if it was recorded, but it's kind of a first because it's really a pure RChain presentation in Singapore, in Asia. So it's definitely a milestone for the community. Following on the Africa one.
Okay, so Aaron, can you follow up in terms of posting the materials and the links? We've got
Sure.
We're 5 minutes before the hour. We'd like to end a little bit early. Does anybody else have anything they want to say before we stop and move over to the community debrief?
Nothing over here.
Okay, going once. Going twice. Okay, we'll see you at the community debrief and see you next week. And thanks everybody for participating.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
See you next week, everyone.